Why don't you just tell us a bit about what these tax credit programs are and what sort of purpose that they serve, because they seem unique. We don't really see a lot of them.
Sure. Tax credit scholarship programs are designed so that individuals and businesses, in some cases, can make contributions to usually nonprofit scholarship organizations that then award private school scholarships to students in K-12. And the donors get either a dollar-for-dollar tax credit or some sort of tax credit for their contributions.
Now, what sort of problem is this policy addressing?
Well, I think in places, really all over the country, right, we have seen that students, especially in low-income areas, students in urban areas, don't have a lot of good choices, right? And even students living, sometimes even in rural areas, don't have a lot of options. And it's one thing when you have parents who are happy with their school and are satisfied with what's happening, but there are many cases, because every child is unique, that a child may need something different and the parents may want something different for them. And so these scholarship opportunities are the chance for these kids to find something that meets their needs.
Now, if I get this right, there's no actual public funding that goes into this? This is entirely private?
Well, it's because this is a tax credit. The funds go from the donor and then to the organization, and then are awarded to back to the donors in the form of a tax credit. It's different than something like an education savings account or a voucher. In the case of a voucher, that is usually a coupon that is given to parents to use for a singular purpose. Education savings accounts are unique in that the money goes to families and it becomes part of in a private bank account that parents have full control over. So that makes the three programs distinct from each other.
Now, what types of schools can parents sort of spend this money on or use this money for?
Well, in the programs that we have around the country, including Arizona, Florida, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, obviously, we're talking about private schools, and they can be typically either Catholic schools or other religious schools, as well as non-sectarian private schools like college prep schools.
Okay, now what types of students end up taking advantage of the program in terms of their needs? Are they ones who would have been in private schools anyway, or are these disadvantaged students?
Well, in Arizona, we have programs that serve students of all types. In fact, most of the students using tax credit scholarships in Arizona would be students who would not already be attending a private school. Many of these students come from disadvantaged areas like in South Phoenix or in other parts of the state where they wouldn't otherwise be able to attend a private school. And so what we found over time is that as now we're close to 40,000 scholarships that are awarded around the state, that this really has met the need for students looking for an excellent education experience that they are not able to find without help from the scholarship organizations.
Now, what were these students doing before? Were they in bad schools? They were disadvantaged families, but is their educational outcome different? Do you see actual measures?
Yeah, not in every case is a child in a failing school and looking to go somewhere else, although that happens plenty, right? We have a scholarship program in Arizona specifically for students coming from disadvantaged backgrounds. But they also can be students that they may be ahead of their class. They may be students that need special help in a particular area like math. And so they're looking for something to help them with their unique need. And I think that's what the advantage of these scholarships are, is that it provides a way for public schools to not have to be all things to every child. It's a heavy demand on any school to be able to do that. And so I think that the scholarships give families the chance to make choices for their kids based on what they need, not necessarily where they were assigned to go to school.
Now, you may have mentioned this already, but there are different programs for corporate tax credits and private tax credits. Could you talk a little bit about the difference between the two programs?
The largest scholarship program in Arizona is one where individuals and married couples can contribute money to scholarship organizations. And those scholarships are available to any child in the state based on the scholarship organization's criteria. They have their own eligibility criteria that they are allowed to set. Now, the law says specifically that the scholarship organizations must consider a family's financial need when they make their awards. Now, the corporate scholarships come in two types. There's one for students from low-income families, and there's another set for special needs students. So we have these programs set up to really help children from a variety of backgrounds and with a variety of different needs.
Now, who are the people who take advantage of the tax credit? Who are the taxpayers? Is this across the spectrum? People just want their money diverted into these programs?
Well, I think it's people that see that in Arizona we spend $9,000 per child in the traditional public school system. And on average, the scholarship awards are closer to about $2,000. And so there is a significant potential for cost savings for taxpayers by helping students get into whether it's a private school that is unique to what they may be looking for, or whether it's the chance to leave an area where a school has been struggling and may even be set to be shut down because they've been low performing for a long period of time. And I think that's what's so important about the program, is that we have children with so many different needs in Arizona and across the U.S. Similar situation in Florida, right, where there are some 60,000 kids using tax credit scholarships there. I mean, I think what we see with these scholarships is that the chance to help a child based on what they need is important not only to parents but to the community, and we see that these kids really do have their needs met when they get to make choices.
Now, you're saying it's meeting the needs of students, but are there more students who need this, or is the hope that the program will expand?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think the limits that we see in Arizona are based on how much people can contribute, because obviously that is what limits what scholarship organizations can give away, right? So that puts constraints on the program. And I think it's important to remember, right, that in the public school system, it was designed as something that would give a basic education to every child, right, no matter where they came from. And so I think we have to be careful, because we may actually create multiple tiers in education if we limit choices like this only to certain students. And so that's why it's important, right, that every child be eligible. They may not take advantage of it, and that's okay, right? There are a lot of great public schools in Arizona and around the country. So it's okay if parents are happy with where their child is attending. But what's equally as important is that many parents want to make a choice, right? They want to choose something different. And so that's why these scholarship programs give children, such a great, and their families, right, such a great opportunity at success in the future.
Now, has the program undergone any changes as they've gotten more experience with it? Because you had mentioned before we started recording that Arizona's program is the oldest of the sort in the country. So probably had a lot of trial and error and found things that worked better. So can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a period of growth, right? And we had to see what the best transparency provisions were for the scholarship organizations. I think it's important to remember that there are federal laws at play if people are contributing specifically and naming a child that they want to support with their contribution. So there are obviously things that need to be done to make sure that when people are contributing to the scholarship organizations, they are doing it to help all of the children looking for scholarships and not one specifically. So I think that's critical. I think something else important to remember is that these programs they are going to grow over time. And so we need a way to measure how successful the kids are in the programs. And I think there are very heavy-handed ways that can be done that would restrict what private schools are doing and might even impede, right, on how they're teaching. And so it's important that you look for measures to promote transparency in the programs, make sure that children are learning, but not forcing private schools to teach in a certain way.
Now, who are or what type of organizations are handling the scholarships? These are nonprofits that set up just for this purpose?
That's right. So in Arizona, we have approximately 60, and they're called school tuition organizations, or STOs. And these are nonprofit organizations that accept the donations from individuals and businesses, in our case. And then they make the scholarship awards, and they come up with their own criteria, largely, of who they can award scholarships to. Typically they take into account a child's need and a family's need for tuition assistance. In cases like the corporate scholarship program, these must be children switching from public school to private school when they apply for a scholarship. And so that's another case where, again, these scholarships can provide significant cost savings to the state, especially when we're paying $9,000 on average, right, for a public school student, but only about $2,000 on average for one of these scholarships. So that gives a tremendous room for savings.
Well, thank you very much for telling us all about the experience in Arizona, and we'll hear more from you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks.